January Donovan is the founder of the Women's School. She's pioneering a new model of feminine excellence, whole, integrated, and rooted in truth, beauty, and goodness. Through the Women's School training, her vision is to lead a revival of femininity, family, faith, and interior freedom. In just 2 years, she scaled the Women's School to a multi-million-dollar company serving thousands of women across 40 countries. Recognized by Forbes as a top self-worth strategist and a 2-time best-selling author, January's programs are transforming generations by giving women the most practical and comprehensive roadmap to true fulfillment as a woman. Beyond her work, January treasures her greatest role, being married for 19 years and raising 8 children. January is a visionary who's leading the revival of womanhood in a culture that has become godless and genderless. She is pioneering a new model of feminine excellence, one that is whole, integrated, and rooted in truth, beauty, and goodness. Her vision is to establish a supplemental training school that equips women with the mindset and skill set necessary to flourish in every arena and in every season of life. I have been training with the Women's School myself for 5 years, and oh my goodness, if I could have had this training when I was in your seats, it would have just really changed my life. I didn't find it till I was 36, I believe, and by that point, I was really steeped in things like comparison and competition, and overwhelmed. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. I didn't have emotional command, thought management, all kinds of skills. So you guys are really going to be in for a treat tonight to just learn from her and just to hear what's on her heart and her passion about how we move forward as the new women that she has this vision for. So without further ado, I'll let January come up and let's give her a round of applause.
Welcome, ladies. Thank you for having me in a college campus. It's like a dream that I never thought I really desired. I was formed on a college campus. So this is sort of ground zero for me to create a revival on a college campus. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the sisters. I'm going to be my best behavior sister because the sisters are here. And Father said he's going to come in. So anyways, tonight is really about me casting a vision about the future of femininity. Tonight is about your future. Tonight is about reclaiming something that was lost, that was due to us, that we want to be able to reclaim for our children. So I want to invite you to this idea of a new model of femininity. We were sold a lie that feminism told us that we could be whatever men could be. And what we have endured in the last 150 years is that 150 years ago, women didn't have the same opportunities as men. Women were considered fragile. Women were considered somebody where they were told to be silent, compliant, and played small. Fast forward to the way it was now, especially after the sexual revolution, we are now enduring the consequence of this idea of vicious feminism, which means I don't need a man, I can be a man. Rage is empowerment. Comparison and competition with men is what we have been told. And so what we have is 2 radical extremes of femininity. The problem is that neither of which is really what good women want. We don't want to go back to the way it was 150 years ago, where we couldn't be a St. Gianna because we weren't called to be a doctor, or we couldn't be the Joan of Arcs. But we don't also want to be, I am woman, hear me roar. I don't need a man. So what I'm presenting to you today is an alternative for you in your future and say, maybe there's a new. And what is that model, and how can we be that model for the future? Because I think what we've seen in the last 5 years is an exposure of evil. What we've found out is a realization that we've kind of been lied to. The realization that maybe feminism was not really what it really was cut out to be. And so what we need to do is to think about how have we been lied to? What are the consequences of enduring because of this lie? And so today, I want to share with you my own story. This is me. This is my 8 children. And when I was 16 years old, I only dated one boyfriend when I was 16. I entered into a relationship. I didn't really like the guy, but I had such a low self-worth that I thought, I better date a guy because nobody else would like me. I didn't know anything about sexuality. I didn't have faith. I didn't have formation. So at 16, I get pregnant. And because I had no idea what faith was, I was Catholic, but I nobody informed me. I went to my guidance counselor and she said, January, you have a future ahead of you. You have to have an abortion. And I remember thinking, what's an abortion? What is that? I had no idea what was in store in front of me. And so at 16, I went blindly into an abortion where I didn't understand the consequence. I didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't understand who I was. I didn't even like the guy I was dating. I didn't know how to say no to him. 3 months later, I walked out of the abortion clinic dead. I didn't have any words for it. And so 3 months later, in the process of wanting to break up with this guy, I get pregnant again. I didn't know how to say no to him. Had my second abortion. At that time, I was a walking zombie. I was dead. I didn't have life. I wanted nothing to do with my life. And it wasn't really until I had a friend who invited me to a retreat for the weekend. And it said, come join the Eucharistic retreat. I said, what's the Eucharist and what's the retreat? I came in and cried all weekend. Met a priest called Father Dan. It was his first year of priesthood. And he fathered and took care of my wounded heart. He introduced me to the Eucharist and he said, Jen, you should go to Steubenville. I said, Steubenville, what is that, Father? And so I did. I applied, I think, last minute, got in, and when I went to Steubenville, I was a pretty broken woman. But I met a girl who formed me, who introduced a faith to me, but more importantly, who introduced what it meant to be a woman. And so if we think about my story, I was sold a lie. I suffered the consequence of a lie I didn't really understand. But by the mercy of God, my biggest fear was that I would never be lovable again after abortion, that I would never have children again, and I could never have the family that I deeply desired. God, in his mercy, gave me 8 beautiful children, a marriage that keeps getting better year after year after 20 years. I prayed for that man in adoration for 10 years. I cried a lot. I suffered a lot. But God, in his mercy, can do great things from our wounds. I share that with you because you're around women who probably have had abortion. I share that with you because you've been lied to and friends around you. And what we want to do is give them hope. And I share the story with you because I'm not speaking to you because I've got it all figured out. I'm sitting here because I was once so wounded. And that there's hope for every woman. If I can have a beautiful, flourishing family after 2 abortions and a very wounded heart, it could only be God, isn't it? And so there's hope for all of us. So my goal tonight, and by the way, my daughter sits here, was 16 and so beautiful. And she gets to hear that story. It's so beautiful. God in his mercy gave me such a beautiful daughter that inspired me. Sorry to be emotional about it, but that's how good God is. Okay? So tonight I'm going to talk to you about the purpose of your college years, because I don't want you to waste it. You have a beautiful life ahead of you. Okay? And everybody else selling you a lie. I want to talk about the crisis of femininity and what you've been lied to and why you need to know how to fight it. And number 3, I'm going to talk about the purpose of discovering the desires of your heart as a window to your God-given purpose. Okay? And then we're going to talk about how to be a Women Formation 101. Okay? So, quick question for you. What do you think is the purpose of your college years? Yes. Tell me.
Establish yourself in a career.
Yes. Career? Anything else? Anyone else? Make lasting connections. Maybe find a husband. Just kidding. True or false? College women today are taught how to build a career, but almost no one teaches them how to flourish in life. True or false? True. Why? Don't you pay hundreds and thousands of dollars in college? Right. Why is it that we're only taught a career? How many have taken a class on choosing a husband? What about how to have healthy platonic friendship? How about a class on emotional mastery? How about a class in mind management? You can raise your hand if you're taking it. How have you, yay, she's in the women's school. Have you taken a class on how to build healthy and thriving marriages? What about communication skills? What about a class on how to raise wholesome children? What about how to strengthen your self-worth? What about work-life integration? What about decision-making skills? Does anyone know how many average decision a woman makes a day? Give me a number.
20?
Almost, a few more zeros. 25,000 decisions a day on average. So if you're graduating with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and are not actually learning how to make a decision, there's a little bit part of me that says you've been wrong. I'm not throwing any other colleges under the bus, but this is not being taught in institutions. Now, the quality of your decisions is also your path to sanctity, isn't it? Who you marry, what you wear, how you talk about people, what course you take, what career. Our life is based on the compounding decisions we make. But if we don't know how to make a decision, how are we supposed to flourish and become who God created us to be? What about communicating our needs effectively? Does anybody know the basis of communication? I'm really throwing colleges under the bus here. That's not what I want to do. But I think it's an important question. The basis of communication that they should be teaching in every marriage class, every friendship class, every domestic church is 7% are words, 38% tonality, and 55% body language. That changes the way we communicate. If I stood here and be like, hello everyone, my name is January Donovan, even though I could say all the right things, but my tonality, my facial expression, it won't land. You know, my children say, sorry mom. I was like, you're sorry with your 7%, but everything else doesn't sound sorry. These are skills that are not really negotiable. How about how to hold ourselves accountable? What about how to hold a man accountable? Right? How about how to discover your dreams? How did Mother Teresa discover God's purpose for her? How did we discern our vocation? How did St. Jose Escrivá discover that his dream was to build a culture where work life made us saintly? These things are non-negotiable. How do you learn how to be a woman? I mean, I think that we need to start thinking and asking ourselves, if I'm not learning these skills that seem to be foundational to the quality of my life, how am I going to build a life? I might have a career, but is that going to fulfill me? Because this is what we're paying college for. Now, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of wholeness. Does anybody know what wholeness means? Scripture, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect, comes from the root word telesia, which is to be whole. Comes from the Greek word whole. So essentially, what God is saying, no, I don't want you to be flawless the way the world says, be perfect. I want you to be whole, to be mature, to be complete in me. And so we have to ask ourselves, what does it mean to be whole? If our Lord is saying to be perfect is to be whole, what does that mean in my life right now? Right? So what I want you to start thinking about, actually, is, yes, I want to teach you how to study your life of wholeness. I'm going to do it really quickly. Ryan is going to quickly give you a little sheet where we're going to learn about every part of our life, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through what I call a metric. So in the business world, what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. So I'm going to give you an examination of your conscience, an examination of your wholeness. And this is a way for us to start studying ourselves. Why do we study ourselves? Okay. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. How do we love ourselves? We have to know thyself. How can we love something we don't know? What is the purpose of loving ourselves? What is the purpose of you knowing yourself and loving yourself? So you can love the other. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your roommate, maybe it's your friend. So you have to actually learn to love yourself, not in the selfie, look at me, fluff, disordered self-love, but we need to learn ordered self-love. A love that is sacrificial. What is love? To will the good of the other. What does it mean to love yourself? To will my highest good.
Thanks, Chef. Appreciate it.
To will a life of wholeness that allows me to flourish, not just in my career, but in every part of my life. Right? And so what we want to do is we're going to teach you how to study yourself, okay? So number one, I'm going to introduce you to this concept of wholeness, where we've defined, in the women's school, I've given you language to describe and define every part of you. Why? Because language is how it shapes our perception, right? Language is an important part of rebuilding culture. So if I say to you a pink sweater, you can see pink sweater. If I say to you an anxious woman, do you have an image of an anxious woman? If I say to you blah, 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 you're like, Junior, there's no image because that language means nothing. So what we want is to learn language that shapes our perception, because words become flesh. We see it, right? And our words matter. And so I'm going to give you language, every part of the arena. So I'm going to introduce you to parts of you and just give you language. So let me introduce you to the self-image. Our self-image, okay, so let me decide what to do. So what I want you to do is to rate your wholeness. This is what we do in the women's school. We do it periodically. We do it as a way of life. We do it every season of life. And what we're doing is we're examining our life of wholeness. Okay, to know which part we need to work on. So 0 to 10 is our metric. 10 being I feel whole, fully alive. Do you know who said God's glory is man fully alive? Who's that from? St. Irenaeus, right? So we want to say 0 to 10. 10 being fully alive, 0 being lifeless. Pro-life, pro-death, right? 0, I won't make it dramatic. Life, yes or no, okay? So I'm going to invite you to just rate yourself. And inside the circle, you can just put a number. 2, 3, 5, 10 being yes, 0 being no. So I'm going to go through every arena of your life, and then I'm going to do it fast. I'm doing it fast because I'm trying to access your subconscious brain, okay? So you're going to do a rapid speed game, okay? It's like a rapid quiz. All right, so who's ready? Ready? You got your pens? Okay, so let's introduce you to your self-image. Your self-image, as we define it in the women's school, is the opinion that you hold of yourself. Okay, so we either have a bad opinion of yourself, a strong, a poor, maybe I'm just lazy, I'm just really not good at, I'm awful, I'm strong, I'm kind. 0 to 10, do you have a strong opinion of yourself? Okay? Not this idea of, look at me, I'm so awesome. Look, if I'm honest, do I really see myself as a valuable human being, a woman? 0 to 10. Number 2, our health. Okay, as we define it in the women's school, we want to create an integrated health model, meaning our thoughts impact our emotion impacts our physiology impacts our spiritual receptivity. And here's what I mean. We can't just exercise and not actually think well. We can't just think well and not manage our emotion. Why? Because if I'm worried about what people think of me, I start to get anxious. And as I get anxious, my body starts to clam up. I actually feel the pain. I feel the burden. And guess what? I'm not spiritually receptive. I can't. Why? Because I'm ruminating negative thoughts. And instead of me living a life of contemplation and prayer, I can't hear Jesus. I'm in prayer and I'm constantly, fighting battles in my brain. Right? St. Joan of Arc talks about that the battle is actually in our mind. So what we want to do is to create an integrated health model. So 0 to 10, do you feel mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually healthy? Anytime was da-na-na-na. Okay. Number 3, our friendship. Friendship is such an important part of femininity. Why? Because we are ordered towards the other. But today we're seeking comparison, competition, we look at other women and we size them up because we've never been taught how to collaborate. We need to redefine and reclaim friendship as part of the path of actually fulfilling God's call in our life. You either have friends that help you become holy or friends that deter you from your sanctity. 0 to 10, you have friends that dream with you, hold you accountable, where you feel safe, heard, seen, valued, but also you are not left as a victim. They push you. 0 to 10, 10 being, yes, I have friends that surround me that help me become who I was created to be. Number 5, intimacy. Intimacy is that sacred place reserved for God, perhaps a significant other, maybe you're single, but it's that place that's reserved for someone special, maybe for marriage someday. So 0 to 10, you feel like you have a healthy understanding of men, you have great relationships with the men in your life. There's a deep respect for masculinity. and that you have a great relationship with God if you're not dating, or if you're dating, or if you're married, that you feel they're respected and valued and seen, and you know that that place is a sacred place that you have reserved for a man who has earned the right to be there. 0 to 10, you feel like you have a healthy understanding of intimacy. Let's write a 10 for you. Okay, contribution. It's the extension of your purpose. Whether at home, whether in college, whether your career, it's the idea that you are maximizing your God-given potential for the sole purpose of contributing your value to society. 0 to 10, do you feel like you are using your God-given potential? You're not burying your talent under the sand, and you're saying, yep, I feel like I'm doing meaningful work as a student. I'm pursuing a career that allows me to feel like I'm valued, that I'm in harmony with God's divine purpose for me. 0 to 10. Our environment, that physical space that influence our interior life. Your room, your home, this campus. Do you feel that it's a beautiful, inspiring place that allows you to actually feel fully alive? Clean bed, it's organized, it smells good. God is a God of order. 0 to 10. And last, your family. Okay? Your family is that infrastructure that God gave us. They either help you become who you're created to be, or maybe it's not very peaceful. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, can you see this? Can I move this now? Oh yeah, I can. I'm talking to myself. Okay, so introducing, I was like, this is a long one. It's double. I'm sorry. It's my third talk today. Okay, so let's look at the wholeness of you, right? So I'm going to ask you very quickly. I'm going to ask you to be social scientists, and I want you to give me a number from 0 to 10 what you think culturally, not just here, but culturally, we want to rate the cultural wholeness of women in college campus, okay? 0 to 10 self-image. 0 to 10 health. 0 to 10 friendship. 0 to 10 intimacy. 0 to 10 contribution. 0 to 10. Did I not talk about wealth? Please forgive me. I missed it. Sorry. Environment. I'll talk in a minute. Environment. Okay. Wealth that we define in the women's school is an abundance of your time, resources, and talent for the sole purpose of contribution. So you want to be able to maximize your potential. You don't want to be rushing around like your head cut off because there's not very enough time, or you feel like there's never enough resources, maybe because we haven't formed some of our skills for budgeting, that we live a life of generosity. That's the whole purpose of wealth, is not to hoard it, but to give it. 0 to 10. What about the cultural perception of wealth? 0 to 10. What about family? Yeah, that's a really good, I'm going to tell you in a minute, assessment. Family? Okay, great. This is great. This is higher than most colleges, and this is higher than a lot of women. So here's what I want you to think about. Every part of you impacts every part of you. If you have a self-image that's 2, how is that going to impact the way you show up as a friend? Maybe you're not very confident as a friend. Now, when you don't feel confident as a friend, maybe you feel that your friendship is not quality. How does it impact your physical health? Yeah. Now your mental health is going to impact your what? Your purpose. And now maybe then you're not able to show up for your wealth contribution. Maybe you're rushing time. And then you influence that, no, I can't find a man. Okay. And then all of a sudden, family life. Every part of you impacts every part of you. We are living in a culture that's told us what? Build your career, make money, without understanding that you were never designed to be disintegrated. This is why so many women are suffering, because you've been told, career, make money, motherhood is bad, don't worry about marriage, don't worry about your self-image unless you have a selfie. And by the way, just make sure you look good but not feel good, and you're not virtuously good. So what we have is a very disintegrated model of the human person. Is that true? Does this resonate? Right? But here's the thing, is that this can change. This can change every season of our life, because maybe you have a new job and you love your job, and now you feel like you have meaningful contribution. All of a sudden you're like, cool, I'm really busy in my job. Now it's a 2. The idea is that we manage our wholeness for the rest of our life. It's not one and done. That's why be perfect as your Heavenly Father is perfect. To be whole, we're always moving to the direction of pursuing a life of wholeness. Why? So we can feel fully alive. But the question is how? How? It's a world solved problem, right? And what I want to do here is that the idea is that every part of you, if you feel like you doubt yourself, chances are you're not going to have good quality friendship, right? I want you to start thinking about the whole version of the woman. Because what we want is not fragile femininity, not vicious feminism, but we want a woman that's whole and fully alive, ready to assume her role as nurturer of humanity. That is the feminine genius. The feminine genius has the capacity to nurture herself, her home, her community. That's what we are designed. That's what we are ordained. Our body biologically receives a seed from a man, creates a life, can nurture a life. Nothing of that is fragile. Right? So what we want to do is to have the capacity to assume exactly who God created us to be. Neither fragile nor vicious, but whole. Is that what you want? Who wants that? Right? Who wants to live a life that's whole and fully alive? So, this is a little slow. Okay. So what is the root cause of why women today are not actually fully alive? Does anybody know? Why is it that we all desire a life of wholeness, right? If I ask you, do you want to feel like you have life in your life? Do you want to have strong marriages and healthy friendship, and you want to feel like you're living a life of purpose, and you feel like you're valued, and that you feel healthy, that you have a family that respects and values you, that's united, that you have more than enough resources? Most women would say, yes, wow, you have a universal desire to flourish. Is that true? We all desire that. Nobody says, well, I don't really want to be physically healthy, but I do want to have more money. I don't want to be mentally healthy. I just want to be stressed all the time. No, we don't. We've just never given ourselves permission to actually want what we want. So why is it that women today are not wanting what they should want, a flourishing life? Number one, we are living in a godless culture. So in the women's school, we talk about the problem and the crisis of a lot of our cultures. It's called the 3G, okay? 3G, we want everyone in the college campus to say, what's the crisis? The 3G, godless, genderless, and generational deformation. Number one, godless. It is true that because of the feminist movement, I'm so sorry, it's inappropriate, but we have taken God out of our infrastructure, which means I am now the God. There's no more God. There's no more moral authority. So whatever I feel like, my feelings actually become a God. It is so bad, right, that we have said, well, what we are striving for is autonomy, freedom. I just want freedom. Autonomy has become our God. I can do whatever I want, whenever I feel like, and it doesn't matter because it's my life, my choice, my body, my choice. We have made that a God. Isn't it true? And guess what? Also, we have created a model where strong woman is a woman who can do it all by herself. Because autonomy has been a God. We've said, that's strong, and by the way, motherhood is weak. Isn't it true? We've created a narrative where mothers are now second-class citizens and that they're not as valued. This is why we want to make sure you have a career and wait for your motherhood and don't think about motherhood, don't think about the importance, but also we have mothers that are pursuing mothers, but they actually feel also as though they're not pursuing their God-given purpose. Why? Because we have two radical extremes. What makes you holy is to become a mom, or what makes you holy is to pursue a career. Well, what makes us holy is God's will. Sometimes you become a Saint Gianna, sometimes a Joan of Arc. But when we've created this narrative where this is what we revere as strong woman, I can do it all by myself. I am woman, hear me roar. I don't need a man. Is that true? Do we need a man? Yes. Boy, do we need a man. Our godlessness has become so prevalent that we need to define what a woman is. We can define what a woman is. Our highest, judge was asked, I don't know if you know Katrina Jackson, what is a woman? She couldn't define what a woman is. There's no more moral authority that we are now actually in the process of trying to replace pedophilia with minor attracted person. We have taken God out of the equation, that everything has been so relative, that enlightenment that says whatever we feel like is now actually biting us to a point that we don't even know, or we can't define what a woman is. This is the epitome of a godless culture. And how is this impacting you? Well, it's really hard to live a life when you feel like your feelings are your God. That becomes a determining factor of how you make decisions. We cannot be happy living in a moral life. Number two, we are living in a genderless culture. Genderless, where we have to have gender neutral bathroom. You can't say boys will be boys, girls will be girls. There's no more reverence for femininity. There's no more reverence for masculinity. That we can actually change our whole entire culture's language because we have to appease. Equality means that we have to make everything neutered. There's no more reverence for the fact that we are different, made in the image and likeness of God as male and female. And we are not the same, my friends. My husband cannot give birth. We can pretend, we can try to doctor it up. It just is not going to happen. Okay? We have come to a point where the man of the year, the woman of the year is actually a man. It's so confusing to me. And this is what we glorify. That we have made this propaganda. Coming home to a loving husband with children is now propaganda. This is what we've created, because now we have no moral authority, so God is not in the picture, and then we've created gender. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter, male or female. So our homes, we don't have reverence for our feminine genius. We don't know how to live it. We look at her like, hey dude, what's up? We talk like men, because we're being told there's nothing wrong with it. What's the problem? We sit like men. There's no more understanding of what it means to be feminine. But see, it's not just performative. It's not just a physical. It has to be interior understanding that our nature is a woman. And everything that flows from us is actually that we are to be feminine. That we are to live in this culture where we are oriented towards the other. Our bodies, our mind, and our spirit. This has all been stripped away from us. Right? In this genderless culture. And because the goal was 150 years ago, women did not have freedom. There was limited freedom and limited. We don't want to go back to that. I wouldn't be here otherwise, right? It was limited freedom, but now it's freedom without responsibility. It's I can ever do whatever I want. And this is what we're fighting. Women's success right now is based on male metric. Success, status. And on top of that, we've invalidated men. Equality has meant we don't need men. Can you imagine being pregnant and climbing those things that men can do? No, we cannot do what men can do. And no, we just have to respect the fact that what makes us beautiful is that we need each other. Like, this works so beautifully because Ryan and Nathan are working together in their own different genius, and it's glorious. I walk in and everything's done, including my food. It's so beautiful. You can see it. My husband, who adores me, who loves me, I cannot do what he does. I am able to live out my feminine genius because he's living out his masculine genius. We need each other. This idea that men are all women are the same, we have got to fight it at the university level. We want to create a movement and college campuses where we are reclaiming femininity through formation. That we are reclaiming what it means to be a woman. We know the impact of it. What are we going to do about it? Okay? But in the past, what are we going to do about your future? Because we can't continue to live life where vicious feminism is the norm. The third problem, generational deformation. You know what that is? Senora. Generational deformation is the fact that we have now handed generation of women that were never formed. What is formation? It's a process of shaping our mindset and developing the skills so that we can order our life to our highest good. Okay? So, did God design marriage to be hard? I like your answer. Did God design motherhood to be hard? Who says yes? I know it says, should I say yes? Sister, did God design marriage to be hard? It's a trick question.
Before the fall or after the fall?
After the fall.
I mean, you said you sweat at the brow, or yeah, you'll have labor pains.
Okay, so let's jump in, Father. I mean, sister, sorry. I'm completely jumping. I'm being succumbing to Jenna, so sorry. Okay. All right, so where does a woman learn how to be a mother? Okay, she's gonna jump in. So where do you learn how to manage your mind as a mother, manage your emotion? When your child's crying, do you cry with your child? Or do you manage their emotion? Where do you learn how to say no? Where do you learn how to manage critics? As a mother, as a worker, where do you learn how to prioritize your day? Where do you learn to have hard conversation with your friend and say, I love you, but I don't think you should be doing that. But I love you, I'll be here for you. Where do you learn the skill of prioritizing your day, building a routine so that you can wake up and pray, study, do your spiritual reading, exercise, eat healthy? Where do you learn the skill of being able to create healthy boundaries? What about collaboration and not comparison and competition? What about the skill of cleaning efficiently? In my house, our children time themselves when they clean. The island should be clean in less than 3 minutes. Cleaning the kitchen is 15 minutes or less. It's not 2 hours, there's no dishes in the sink. They time themselves to how they clean the bathroom. Efficiency is part of what? It gives us greater capacity for contribution. Where do you learn the skill of dreaming? Without a vision, we perish. Where do you learn the skill of time management? Learning how to fail and not feel like a failure. Learning how to speak up when there's evil around you and not cower down into silence. Learning how to manage frustration or seek the good in everything or manage your tonality. Motherhood is hard when we're under-trained. We don't train mothers, and now what we have today is training for doctors and lawyers and CEOs and residency and Olympians trained for 10 years, but we have no training for femininity? Right? Like, we don't think about training the woman the skills that are necessary to actually flourish as a woman. No wonder being a wife is hard. Motherhood is hard. Being a woman is hard. Friendship is hard. Mental illness is hard. Why? Because we're under-trained. If you were going to the Olympics and no one ever told you how to do the jumps, how to do the kicks, it would be pretty hard. Anything that we are not trained in is challenging. Decision making, if you've never been trained how to make a decision, then maybe life will be hard. Motherhood, marriage, or career should have hard moments. It should give us opportunity for the cross, but it shouldn't be a perpetual agony in the garden. It's hard when we are under-trained. What we deeply desire is to flourish in every season of our life, because these skills are non-negotiable. They're essential, and so a lot of women on college campus are lonely and overwhelmed. Where does loneliness come from? Isolation. If we taught women how to have connection skills, conversation skills, ask meaningful questions, empathy, listening, paying attention, harvesting wisdom, do you think that there would be a greater chance of women not being lonely? Maybe loneliness comes from the fact they're underskilled. A lot of colleges are overwhelmed. Well, maybe we need to give time management training or decision making or emotional command. Do you think that maybe if we just said, you know what? There's something wrong with me. I can't spend the rest of my life thinking that something's wrong with me. I'm just overwhelmed, which probably just means I need a new skill. I just need a little bit of training. It's not a big deal. I need formation. I need training. And I need training every single season of my life so I can live a life that's whole. In my college years, in my single years, in my motherhood, when I have baby, I can live a life that's whole. Why? Because what to train is ultimately a life of discipline. And discipline, my friends, is a life where you embrace your cross. You gotta embrace the cross of an undisciplined life, a deformed life, or the cross of daily training. The cross of managing your mind and learning the skill and getting up and developing a routine, or the cross of being like, I didn't know how to manage my mind, and then my friends are, my friends and I have a difficult relationship, or now I feel like I just maybe failed my test because I didn't really get up early. Choose your cross, the cross of an undisciplined life, or the cross of actually formation. Overwhelmed just means you're underskilled. That the life of wholeness is at your fingertips. You have a whole world in front of you. You can create a life where you're flourishing in every season of your life, where you're looking for a job, but you're paying attention to what you're eating. You're managing your health. You're managing your words. You're paying attention to the kind of friendship, the quality of relationship you have. Why? Because you have the skills to do it. You're rating yourself. Can you imagine if we just gave women access to formation? True or false? Evil grows when good women stay silent, complacent, comfortable, and overwhelmed. So there's evil around us. We're living in a spiritual battle to a point that we can no longer define what a woman is. If you are silent because you did not have the skill of learning how to speak up, or you're afraid of critics, or maybe you've been complacent, you don't really know how to process your life because it's a skill, or maybe you're just overwhelmed and you genuinely, I can't even think about the crisis in the world right now. I'm just trying to make through my test. Is it possible that evil is growing around us because we have been undertrained? If you were living a life where you were trained and formed and you had a life of wholeness, would you have greater capacity to see what can we do to change the world? What can we do to help this school? What can we do to change our family life? Would you have greater capacity to fulfill who God created you to be? Yes. There's nothing wrong with you, ladies. There's nothing wrong when we have hard times. It just means an invitation to embrace the cross of formation, to enjoy the resurrection. As Catholics, we are called to embrace the death and resurrection every single day of our life. So we form ourselves, embrace that cross so we can taste the resurrection of the flourishing life. Maybe it's learning a hard conversation skill to enjoy the joy of deep, meaningful friendship. And maybe we're not lonely. We're lonely because we just don't have those skills. Does that make sense? So, sister, did God design marriage and motherhood to be hard? I'm just teasing. I love having you in that life. And what's the ultimate goal? For us to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have become the woman I've created you to be. How do you become the woman that God created you to be if you don't study yourself and form yourself? It sounds really like a great thing. Become who you created to be and you will set the world on fire. So that you can enter the kingdom of heaven and say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Well, there's kind of a lot of information for us to actually hear those words. And I just keep thinking, Father Cheney, who I just met, had the vision for this whole entire thing. And I keep thinking, what one man's vision is unleashing multiple visions. It's creating a cocoon of formation for so many women. What if he never engaged in the formation necessary to unleash a big, bold vision? Where would you be? Where would we be? See, because your call, if Father Cheney was called to build this vision and he didn't know how to say yes, because maybe he didn't know how to get up in the morning, he didn't have the courage to speak up, then maybe your call would have been born through this human center and it couldn't be unleashed. We have to pay attention to the fact that we're all created with an irreplaceable purpose. So what we need to do is understand that it's time for us to reclaim femininity through formation. We need to be able to say, you know what, being a woman is so beautiful, and our vision is to go from college to college and say, we want to train you. We want to show you how to be a woman. We want to offer you formation and skills so you can live a life that's whole and fully alive, so that you can become who God created you to be and have greater capacity to fight evil in the world. We want to reclaim God's original design for women. We want to create a feminine revival on every college campus. Wouldn't that be amazing? Where we said, listen, I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to debate you. I want to form you. I want to show you how to flourish. I want to show you how to have healthy conversations. I want to show you how to have great platonic friendship. Wouldn't that be exciting? Can you imagine if we did this in every college campus? Charlie Kirk did the Turning Point movement where he awakened a lot of people towards truth. What we want to do is awaken people to their feminine genius. Yes, we have the fullness of truth as Catholics, but it's available to everyone. God invites them. Wouldn't that be amazing? We create a revival of our feminine genius. Why? Because nobody wants to go back to 150 years ago, and nobody wants this vicious feminism. We know it no longer works. What we have is a new opportunity to introduce the new woman. We have an opportunity to introduce Our Lady. This is a time where we can say, this is who she is. This is who she is in real life. She is a feminine genius. Let's bring her back into reality. Let's form women to become her in our modern times. Isn't that amazing? But you tell them. You can invite them. You can incarnate Our Lady by living up who you are. That's exciting. I get excited. So how do we reclaim our feminine genius? Right, what's my point? Number one, feminine formation. You have a choice right now to take your formation seriously. Am I speaking? To take your formation seriously, or to say, I don't need it. God gives us free will, and that free will determine the quality of your life. Our sanctity hinges on our formation. You might want to be holy and saint. Maybe you can't get up in the morning because you've never been formed how to build a routine. I did formation for women, faith formation, and actually human information for 15 years. And I was teaching them how to pray, but most of the time I was actually teaching them how to say no to themselves and build a routine because they couldn't even get to prayer. It's most of us, right? So number one, we need to understand information. And so this is my mentor, Elena. So when I was in college, this is the lady that I told you I met. And she said, January, my first freshman year, she said, January, what kind of woman do you want to be? And I said, you don't have a choice. She said, yes, you do. Mine, I had just been enduring the pains of abortion. Let's form me. So for 3.5 years, I met with her. And she taught me how to study myself. My first homework, did I share this? My first homework, I already shared it here. I've been doing this talk 3 times. So. My first homework with Elena was to make my bed as soon as I get up, so that my first action was a complete action. You know, it was that I had fulfilled my goal. Number 2 was to get rid of comparison and competition. I had to study women I felt threatened. I had to harvest what I admired about them. I had to pray for them, and I had to emulate the good that I saw in them. That was my homework for 6 months. I didn't suffer comparison and competition after that. I didn't even realize it. My third homework was to get up in the morning at 4:30 so I could pray, study myself, exercise, and go to mass. By 7 o'clock, that was already complete. I had to do that most of my college years. I say that to you because that was the foundation of why motherhood was easy for me. I had 4 kids under 4, but I didn't have any super special gift except we are living in God's grace and mercy. Elena just trained me. I had to submit my little one piece of paper to her, and that formation happened for me in college, which then began the call of the women's school. The formation I received is in those college years become the foundation of this movement of the feminine revival. I believe if we can change and influence college campus, we can change the future generation. You hold the keys, ladies. That's why people come to you. That's why the sexual revolution happened at college campuses. True or false, women are struggling today, not because of lack of faith, but because of lack of formation. True or false? Women want to live a life of faith. Women that are faithful, they say, yeah, I want to pray. But they're struggling because they just were not shown how. I'm hounding the idea, okay, I'm going to create a distinction between faith and formation. You can read the gospel every day and not know how to get up and build a routine, and it will be hard. You can be told, love your neighbor, but if you don't know how to study yourself, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you don't know how to create boundaries or find good in every situation, or manage your tonality, it'll be really hard to love your neighbor, or don't know how to study your facial expression. Right? We can say, trust God, trust God. But if we don't know how to manage your line, manage your emotion, or pivot, right? Or embrace your cross, but we don't know how to manage critics. See, we don't want either or. We want both and. We want to live our faith. We want to form in our faith formation, but we want feminine formation so that we can live truly our faith. It's important for us to know that it's integrated, that our formation allows us to live our faith in a beautiful way. We need to unleash a feminine genius by God's grace and to study our scripture and to live a life that is ordered towards truth, but we want to also train with the practical skills that we need to actually accompany that. Right? We need to learn how to cook, we need to learn how to clean.
15
15 minutes. If you want life to get better, you need to get better. Number 2, we need to teach women how to dream. Okay? We need to teach women that God has a purpose for them that's unique and irreplaceable. Actually, I am going to, all right, so I'm going to pause right here. I want to know your thoughts about what I just shared with you. What are the things that are kind of palpitating in your heart? And I'm going to introduce to you the new feminine archetype. Ryan, do you want to?
Yeah, that's
Any thoughts? I'm going to introduce to you a new feminine archetype. So, in the feminine revival, we have 3 strategies that we want to be able to bring into college campus, to bring in everyone. Strategy number 1 is that we want to introduce a new model of femininity. Number 2, we want to introduce feminine formation as a way of life. And number 3, we want to restore feminine mentorship. We can't do it alone. Why? Because we have lost our mothers. Spiritual motherhood is how we are going to restore our future. So we want to be able to do all of those 3 things. So I want to introduce you to this feminine archetype. Not vicious, not fragile. okay? And then at the end, I'm gonna invite you to the formation course. So, I'm gonna introduce you to this woman that I believe we need to introduce to the world. Okay? This is the new model, and as you read this, I want you to think, how could we do this woman? How can we share her to the world? This is called the new woman, feminine archetype, and it comes from the new, the full you. Okay? So, I'm just going to read it. I just want for you to hear it. In a time of moral confusion, a new woman has emerged, born from the ashes of a lifeless culture, called for such a time as this. Who is she? Who is the new woman? She is the woman who has become all things to all people. She was designed to nurture humanity and lead the way to restore human dignity. She's a leader, a servant, a teacher, a friend, and a warrior for truth, beauty, and goodness. She is intentional about becoming the woman she ought to be, working tirelessly to design a life that allows her to flourish in every arena and in every season of life. She's a woman of discipline and order, creating a rhythm of life that allows her household to flourish. Her children and her husband delight in her. She's a radiant light in her own home first. Her home is a refuge to many, a place of joy and laughter. She forms her character in the quiet duties of day-to-day life. She's a woman of excellence, choosing greatness as her comfort. She studies her actions, reactions, and interactions, seeking to master herself in all the little ways. She knows when to say yes and when to say no. She knows when to ask for help and when to receive help. She respects her body and honors her need for rest and restoration. She respects men and values her irreplaceable contribution. She celebrates the complementarity of men and women. She does not command anything that she has not first demanded of herself. Her sacrifice is redemptive, and her life is marked with generosity. She seeks the goodness in people, believing in who they can be, while respecting their own journey. She does not blame or shame. She brings her light to those people whose lights have been dimmed by the tides of life. Her light is undeniable. It shines, it radiates. To some, she's blinding, but only because her mere presence is an accountability for good. She's patient and persistent at the same time. She's a woman of action, determined to do her part to raise the moral fabric of culture. She's a fierce defender of faith, family, and freedom. She's not afraid to speak up and knows when to listen. She studies her critics and harvests wisdom from their rejection. She's willing to be misunderstood, to do what is noble and righteous. She's a good steward of her time, treasure, and talent, using them to bring forth goodness. She focuses on what matters most, fixing her gaze on an eternal destiny. She's a woman of contradiction, genuine but not naive. She's kind without compromising her standards. She's a loyal friend who's not afraid to hold you accountable. She's decisive while also being detached from the outcome. She's neither rigid or passive, neither enabling nor entitled. She's merciful, quick to forgive, and slow to anger. She does not take herself seriously, laughing at her own mistakes. She's not a victim of external circumstances. She redeems all things for the good. She's wise, but not all-knowing, because her heart is rooted in humility. She's wise not because she's all-knowing, but because her heart is rooted in humility. She's a woman of courage, not because she lacks fear, but because she faces her fear with faith and hope. She's a light because all things flow from her source of light. She fears God above all else. She's a woman fully alive. She is loved, revered, respected, and valued because she values so many. She's meek, not weak. She's strong, yet tender. She's beautiful because she inspires life in all people. She is a reservoir, a pillar of unshakable strength. She's both a student and a master. She's extraordinary in all the little ways, in all the ordinary ways. Each day she dies to her old self, giving rise to the new woman. She was made for such a time as this. She's the woman the world needs now. Imagine we introduce her to the world. And how do we introduce her? Through you. The feminine revival begins with your formation, ladies. That you have a part in changing and creating a counter movement to the sexual revolution. That your life will be blessed, will be a blessing to so many. That you will not only taste the gift of your own femininity, but you will now become a gift to other people. Formation is the cornerstone of our feminine genius. We have to form ourselves to unleash who God created us to be. And so with that, I want to invite you to be part of this feminine revival and how we can reclaim femininity through formation. Brianne Carr will be leading a formation course, How to Be a Woman 101. We're gonna give you the foundation of what it means to be a woman. So you're gonna learn the skills that allow you to actually embrace your femininity, the practical skills. Now, I did this for free for 15 years. And women don't show up when it's free. Women don't take it seriously when it's free. They don't really take the depth of it seriousness when it's free. And so I want you to have enough skin in the game, so you're gonna show up, do your homework. You're gonna learn how to study yourself. You're gonna learn how to understand your self-worth. And so what you have is a 6-week formation course. And you know, masterclass formation course is 8 months. This is your introduction, 6 weeks. Eventually, I wanna invite you to every woman to the new one masterclass. That's the big formation course. I wanna invite you for the 6 weeks where you watch an online course on feminine formation. You're gonna learn the skills of understanding why you're here, what your purpose is, and developing the skills. And then every week you're gonna meet for 1 hour. Here,
Yep, right downstairs.
right downstairs, and process what you've learned. Where's our workbook? And so what I wanna invite you ladies is to consider what it would be like for you to actually learn to study yourself and form yourself. And so who here is interested in wanting to join the Feminine Formation? Yay, yay. That's amazing. Well, I want to invite you to then do this QR code, okay? I want to incentivize you for tonight. Price is $250. For tonight, it's $197. You can call your parents, you can ask them, but that allows you to have access to the course, but also 6 weeks of mentorship with Ryan. Okay, you can scan that code so you can join, which starts.
It starts this Tuesday.
It starts this
This
Tuesday.
Tuesday at 6:30 in the morning. So I will feed you breakfast. If you show up at 6:30, it'll go 6:30 to 7:30, so you can still make your 8 o'clock class. And there should be no conflicts. No one should have class at 6:30 in the morning. But we want women that are serious about this training and, like you said, have some skin in the game. And we'll all be tired together, and there'll be coffee and food, and it'll be wonderful. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, and it's just desperately needed, ladies. So you will be such a shining light. And if you think right now, oh, it's like maybe the wrong time because I've got all these classes and finals and things coming up, you need about 15 minutes a day, truly, to study. Wouldn't you say, January? Besides the 1 hour on Tuesday mornings,
Yeah.
if they put 15 minutes in a day, 15 minutes maybe at the beginning of the day, 15 minutes at the end of the day, that would be enough, and it would really transform the rest of your life.
And that's what Elena did to me, was that January you pray. I had to go to adoration before, get out from the adoration at 4:30, but then she taught me how to study myself. I think that we need to introduce a new way of studying ourselves. I think that it should be part of our norm. We study ourselves as an examination of our conscience. It's thinking, what can I do better? But now you have a blueprint. Maybe I need a decision-making skill. Maybe I need mind management. And so if you can make an infrastructure change in your day-to-day life where you just take 15 minutes, I study myself every day, not so I can be full of myself, but so I can be fully alive. Right? So that's my invitation for you ladies. Scan the QR code. Class starts on Tuesday. And like a mother, she says, I'll feed you. So it's really amazing. We just had also our Ave. We have about 15 girls. And if you have any friends also in different college campuses, talk to me afterwards. Our vision here is that you start with Brianne and you go through her formation course, but hopefully next year we want to have feminine formation circles. So now maybe women who want to lead formation circles, feminine formation circles, you can have your own group. We want to be able to share and spread this. So now we're going to pilot it with Ryan, and you get to be there, but then anybody who wants to form your own circle, we want you to send this out to the world. That's exciting, because now we can have formation circles. Feminine formation circles is a counter movement. Okay? The feminine revival begins with your formation. We have an obligation to reclaim the feminine genius for and with God, and by the grace of God, He's going to give us the grace to be able to introduce a new model of femininity. Okay? Introduce a new feminine archetype. So it's an exciting time to be on. There's a lot of work, but it's also so hopeful. So thank you for tonight. Thank you for letting me share. I'm so grateful. And I want to invite all of you to be part of this feminine revival. Thank you.